we go again with another country, and today we are on Serbia. So yeah, here we go as we have a few things to go through, but I'm sorry it might be a little bit brief as I'm actually just scratching the surface kind of thing. And it's like that has the previous two videos. The Slavs arrived in the 7th century, and that was where we were beginning today. And they were the ancestors of the Serbs in Serbia first came into existence. When they first arrived, they were divided into clans, but in the 8th century, a man who was called Vastimir founded the first Serbian state called Rasica. I hope I said that right. And then in the 9th century, the Serbs were converted to Christianity, but until the 13th century, Rasica was a vassal of the Byzantine Empire. So yeah. Now in the 13th and 14th centuries were a golden age for Serbia, as its population rose and industries like mining flourished. And in that time, Serbia expanded its territory. But in the 14th century, there was a new threat to Serbia, which were the Ottoman Turks and all that. I'm sure we're going to cover them in a later video, at some point in the near future. Who defeated the Serbs in the Battle of Marcia, at the Marcia River in 1371, and then crushed them at the Battle of Kosovo in 1389. And in 1459 the Turks captured the city of Smederevo, effectively ending Serbian independence. And finally, in 1521 the Turks captured Belgravia. But in 1594 the Serbs rebelled against the Turks, but the rebellion was crushed. And then during a war between Austria, Poland, Venice and Turkey in 1683 to 1690, the Serbs rebelled again, and when the Austrian forces withdrew the rebellion collapsed, and many Serbs went into retreat with the retreating Austrian army. And the rebellion broke out again in 1804 in the first national uprising, which was led by Dode Petrovic, known as Black George. And by 1807 the rebellion had succeeded with a bit of help from Russia. But in 1812 the Russians made peace with the Turks, and as a result the Serbian rebellion collapsed yet again. And a couple of years later, in 1815, there was another rebellion, known as the Second National Uprising. And this time the Turks agreed to allow Serbia some autonomy, and finally in 1887 Serbia became independent and became a kingdom in 1882. And after the First World War, Serbia became part of the largest Slav nation known as Yugoslavia. And in 1929 the King Alexander made it the new state of royal dictatorship, naming it Yugoslavia, and a land of the South Slavs. But from the start there was tension between the Croats and Serbs, and the King Alexander. He was assassinated in 1939, and in the meantime communism was growing, and in 1939 Josip Broz became the chairman of the Yugoslav Communist Party, And on the 6th of April 1941, Germans bombed Belgrade and invaded Yugoslavia and overran the country, which was carved between Germany and its allies. Hungary took the north part of Serbia, but Germany took most of it. And afterwards, the communists carried out guerrilla warfare, and in October 1944, together with the Russians, they introduced a communist regime to Yugoslavia. But however, in 1948, Tito broke up with Stalin, and afterwards Yugoslavia was resolutely independent. But when Tito died in 1980, the system showed cracks, and in 1991-92, the state of Yugoslavia broke up and parts broke away from Serbia, and Serbia finally became independent until only Serbia and Montenegro were left. However, Montenegro became independent in 2006, and 2 years later, in 2008, Kosovo broke away and became independent. Was it independent? I'm not entirely sure. Kosovo was actually independent. And Serbia suffered from the recession of 2009, but we soon recovered. And the economy is still growing and hopes to join the EU with a population of about 7.2 million. Moving on to the language. Serbian is a South Slavonic language spoken mainly in Serbia, Bosnia, Montenegro, Croatia and Herzegovina. The language has been granted official status in Serbia, Bosnia and Herzegovina. In Croatia, Romania, Hungary, Montenegro and Republic of Macedonia, it is among the most recognised languages. And Montenegro's official language was Serbian until 2007. The standard Serbian has a Stokavian dialect, like its contemporary Croatian and Bosnian, making all of them mature and mutually understandable. And the Kakavian dialects are famous of the Adriatic coast and on, say, some islands, while in the Kachkavani dialect is widely used along the area between Slovenia and Croatia. Montenegrin was made a single official language of Serbia amid opposition from Serbian pro-Serbian parties, while Serbian was given minority status along with Bosnian, Albanian and Croatian. And in the 2003 census, over 60% of the residents declared Serbian as their mother tongue, as compared to the remaining 40% who declared Montenegrin as their first language. And the Serbian language shares many similarities with the Croatian language, except in the terms of pronunciation, basic vocabulary and usage of the alphabet. And prior to the disintegration of Yugoslavia, the language prevalent in the region was Serbo-Croatian, because of some political and other nationalist reasons. And both the languages have been brought to the foreground, where few scholars see these languages no different but as mere dialects of the same tongue at the moment. And there are 30 letters in the Serbian alphabet today, each one corresponding to a single sound, making a Serbian spelling kind of easy. Serbian language makes both use of Latin and Cyrillic alphabets, and most population being literate and in both scripts. However, Serbian speakers prefer the Cyrillic one. In the distinct attributes to separate the Serbian language from the Croatian language is its flexibility to take loan words from other languages. And in the early editions, Serbian was adopted with Greek and Latin and Greek, and recently it borrowed words from English and Latin. So yeah, that's a bit on the language. Moving on to legends. As I also find like a few, and you might get mishmashed a little bit as there wasn't any definitive titles. So yeah. There's the medieval city of Sarnath, and it's about a medieval fortress on top of Alava, on the place where the monument of unknown hero is now located. Unknown hero is located. It was a serial of Forca and Avala, from Avala. The remains of Celtic culture and their heritage were discovered there. The Romans had fortifications on the same spot, and they controlled the entrance of Singidunum, to set their workers on the brinks of Avala. And later on, the ancestors in the Middle Ages built a fortress, and in 1442 it was captured by the Turks, and they additionally expanded it since it held an important defensive position. But when Belgrade fell, it lost its strategic value, and King Alexander Karađorđević decided in 1934 to demolish the fortress with dynamite and built the monument to unknown hero on the spot, and the reasons for the demolition was not completely clear. It is unknown why Zarnov collapsed and it was under the walls of the city. And on the other hand, although Kalmegdan represents something where like two major European rivers meet, and the place where people have been going for at least about 2,000 years, where to argue, wage wars and celebrate peace, conquer and lose it, and it's still on the list of like Serbian mysteries and all. Most legends are associated with the Roman war well, as it is 51 meters deep and is about 200 steps to the bottom, and as it was this long described as the navel of the world, where a mythical hero Orpheus descended into the underworld, and the Roman well, despite its name, is actually Austrian and was built from 1717 to 1731. However, there are theories that the Romans carried out the water in the air, hence the name. Alfred Hitchcock, as some claim, was fascinated by it and supposedly drew inspiration from it. And for centuries it has been considered a still high hides of treasure. And the Germans have explored it in the Second World War, and there were two divers that never came back from one of the expeditions. No one knows what happened to them, as the remains were never found. And the holes and caves under Kalemegdan and even Tazmajdan can be much bigger than you can imagine, and as they were formed like over millennia kind of thing. They were dug by the Romans, and the biggest one is under Tazmajdan, and it's presumed to be about 8 million years old. So yeah, pretty old. So there's been a long time to kind of dig itself out kind of thing. And like the holes on the Belgrade are not particularly explored. And it's known that under this Faculty of Sciences that there are underground passages leading to the banks of the Danube. And there's a story that there is no system of tunnels from Karen Megdan and Eye Clinic on George Washington Street all the way to Visit Jika Banja, and it's not particularly known what it's used for. The greatest question is the tunnels that collect Magdan and Gardos. As archaeologists claims that the stories are just city legends kind of thing. Now the farther south in the mountain Rutangi, about several way there were a couple of legends circulating. Now if you look at it from afar, it might look a bit like a pyramid, and writer Arthur C. Clarke believed them his mountain high pyramid the oldest formation of alien civilization. And other science fiction fans are sure the mountains are hiding spaceships that will fly way before the end of the world, and everybody that finds themselves there at the moment will be able to go on a spaceship and some distant and beautiful place. And it's like, remember the apocalypse of 2012? People from all over the world paid huge amounts of money for the accommodation on the mountain. So yeah, only to find that there was no apocalypse and they'd paid lots of money to go there for essentially nothing. And the locals are certain that there is treasure in the caves and in the mountains, and apparently there's a wizard that lived on the top of a mountain, and that he guarded massive amounts of treasure. And the mountain is associated with the story of a wealthy Jewish family of Min, who owned a Parisian factory of fabrics and later savoury mine coal. Julius Min committed suicide under completely mysterious circumstances, and his wife Greta had built a small church chapel at the top of Mountain Ratange. It was raised to the ground in search of hidden treasure. And there's also a documented case of Germans during World War II, and on Ratange, a Greek man who does not know how he ended up there, since the last thing he remembered was that he led his sheep to pasture in his own country of Greece. And there's also talk of vampires, and the most abundant and largest is apparently the Serbian brand in the world, and the female witch is due to its mystique and is always fresh in the minds. And it's like the word vampire is an international word, is of Serbian origin, and started somewhere in the 18th century when creepy reports of mythical creatures started appearing in the Balkans in Europe. And the first mention of vampires is written in the source of an Austrian magazine, Versich Zeitung, number 98, published in 1725. And the magazine writes about a village, Kisilijevo, which is now in Serbia, but back then it was in Austria. And it was certain Peter Blakojevic died, and after him 10 more people in the next 24 hours. And authorities from Vienna sent doctors and found that Blakojevic was lying in the coffin alive with blood on his lips. And after they penetrated him with a hawthorn stick, fresh red blood emerged from his body, ears and nose, and the locals burned his body so he would never come back, kind of thing. And the most famous one is Savanovic, a miller from the village. So she ate Pagina Basta, and the legend has it that Savanovic was a wealthy merchant who fell in love with a much younger girl, and he proposed to her, but her father refused because he was much older. Sava had since changed and he became sullen, and shortly after he decided to kill the girl to have his vengeance. He shot her in the back, and then his brother, who was with him, tried to steal his gun. They were encountered by pastors who hit Sava with clubs, and his brother was shot. Sava therefore became a vampire, and the story goes that he has the following 99 years drank blood of residents around the watermill on the river Rojakik. But the Russians say that the legend of a vampire is based on a rare disease called porphyria, and the people suffering from it have a very pale complexion, as they are very bothered by the sun, and do not have enough iron in the blood to which they could have the urge to drink other people's blood to kind of gain the iron kind of thing. So yeah. A nice one to end the video on today with. So yeah, a vampire who a merchant who fell in love with a girl much younger than he himself, killed her and then was beaten with clubs, and yeah, came back to life to suck people's blood. How nice. So yeah, sorry for the grim ending, but I'll see you very soon, and I'll get back shortly for the news. So yeah, bye for now.